Look at that! Hello valued viewers, I hope you're all doing very well. If you are a fellow military aviation nerd, then this recent article in the Warzone will really pique your interest. AIM-174, Super Hornet launched variant of the SM-6 missile breaks cover in Hawaii. We've known for a few years that the Navy has been working on an air-launched version of the SM-6, but it's now got a designation, the AIM-174 Bravo. And it's an incredibly important weapon for America. It would be America's first super long-range air-to-air missile. Ranges undisclosed at the moment, but presumed over 200 miles. And the important thing about the 174, or should I say the SM-6, is its mission capability. Not only would it be an extremely effective air-to-air missile, but also it can be used as a ground attack missile, including against moving targets, and as an anti-ship weapon. Basically, a missile that can do everything. And you guys have asked for a simulation. Now, we've actually used it a few times because we've been excited about this as well. We've used it against static air-to-ground targets. We've also used it as an air-to-air superiority weapon, fired in this case by Super Hornets against Chinese J-15s with their long-range weapons. So today I figured we would use it as an anti-ship weapon against moving naval targets. As we know, this weapon is going to be used by US Super Hornet. It's big, it's heavy, and it's non-stealthy, so it's going to be not much use for 5th gen aircraft like F-35, so we'll use it on a Super Hornet today. Its party piece really is its range. And so today I figured we would concentrate on trying to get as much range as possible out of it. Weapons like Mako that are going to be used by F-35s can be fired much closer in due to obviously the stealth benefit of the F-35. The Super Hornet will not be able to get close to a hostile carrier fleet. Today we'll be using probably America's worst nightmare, a fully fledged Chinese carrier group. So we're going to use this missile to its absolute maximum range. Of course, in air-to-air configuration, no one knows what that maximum range is, so I've taken a few liberties, and I'm trying today to really stretch the legs of the sim that we used, creating an air-to-surface missile that pushes the boundaries of what we know so far, and it's created some really interesting aerodynamic challenges. Anyway, enough with the talk. Let's get the first situation on the go. So, all I want to do for the first run is just attack an undefended ship. Here we have a large, well, it's actually an American carrier we're using today, but it's just being used as a drone. 270 land miles away is our release point for our missile here. So we're trying absolute max possible range, fired from a high, very fast moving target. Guidance information will be sent to us from an AWACS here, 200 miles away from the target. The firing aircraft will of course be a Super Hornet, and we'll just take one missile to begin with. So let's see how we've got this missile to fly. It's been a bit of a challenge, I'm not going to lie. Our sim DCS isn't really made for this type of weapon. So the air launch version will not have the booster section as we know. It will instead have a twin pulse rocket motor, and we're going to use both of those pulses. Now, the way it drops from the aircraft, we've had to do something a little bit weird, but it looks kind of cool. Watch this. It's a very draggy missile, and it won't start its first stage motor until a few seconds after it's dropped from the aircraft. The aircraft will be travelling at Mach 1 at 36,000 feet. Missile away, it drops it, and then it starts its first stage motor, and off it goes. Now the first thing the missile needs to do is to get out of the atmosphere. So it goes vertically straight up using its massive impulse of its first motor. You can see the stats down the bottom, 50,000 feet, 2,000 knots. It's going to make its way all the way up to about Mach 6. It was fired at Mach 1, 70,000 feet. It's now on its second stage sustainer motor, which will last a few more seconds. In fact, that's finished now. So it's now unpowered, but the amount of power and legs it already had, or energy it had from its firing position, allowed it to get all the way up into the almost non-drag air of 140,000 feet, and it's now sustaining 3,400 knots. I'm guessing that's about Mach 5.5, Mach 6. It's now operating as like an artillery shell, doing a massive parabola, 210,000 feet. I'm guessing that's about Mach 5. It is scrubbing off speed, but because there's essentially no air friction up here, it's scrubbing speed very slowly. It's now 240,000 feet, reaching nearly the top of its parabola. 250,000 feet, 260,000 feet. We're approaching new space. Although it's reaching technically hypersonic speeds of about Mach 6, it can't really be considered a hypersonic sustained missile. 2,900 knots, 290,000 feet, almost 300,000 feet. And there we go, it's ticked over 300,000 feet, 2,800 knots and decreasing. So it was fired about here, it's covered so far. It spent most of its energy just getting up high and getting into its parabola. It's gone 80 miles so far. It has 146, these are nautical miles to go. It's still reducing speed, but relatively slowly. We're essentially now in space. 313,000 feet, and there was its peak at 314,000 feet. Now, could the real missile do this? Absolutely no idea. Probably the real missile will go lower and probably won't be able to achieve this crazy range. But like I said, here's a great opportunity for us to really push the sim to its absolute maximum, and this is probably its absolute maximum. It'll be interesting if it does go into service and the true numbers come out. What can it actually do? It's important to remember up here it can't maneuver, so the way these super long-range missiles work is they have a defined parabola. They launch themselves up like an unguided stone, and they use that parabola to cover the 200 or whatever miles. They can only start maneuvering again, as you'll see in a minute, once we get into the thicker atmosphere. That's one of the reasons these super long-range missiles of all coalitions are not that effective in a way, because they're mid-course, which is most of their travel. They can't actually steer. So if the target out there has moved during that mid-course, which has taken so far 4 minutes and 8 seconds, then it's no good. It will be out of the catchment area of the missile's maneuverability. So there are always weak points with super long-range weapons like this. This obviously being an extreme example. Alright, anyway, we're increasing our speed again. We're dropping down. There's still very little air friction at 3,200 knots, 200,000 feet. We're going to start to get some air friction soon. We're going to start to see some movement from the fins as they start coming to effect again. 108,000 knots. You can see it starting to do a maneuver now. Now, this is something we had to put in. Well, we didn't. The game's put in. So what's happened now, viewers, is it's realised that its parabola was actually slightly too long. If I pause there, remember, the parabola, it can't manoeuvre itself. It's just an unguided piece of metal. At this point, it's realised its parabola was a little bit too long. Let's just see how far it's covered. Nautical miles, 165 nautical miles. It's realised its parabola was too long. It needs to burn off some speed now. So what it's doing is it's pitched its nose up. Now it's getting back into to the air, and it's riding at this high angle of attack. So it's going down that way there because it's, you know, relying on gravity, but it's pointing that way there. The reason it's doing that is to burn some speed off because it's gone too far. Okay, it's realised, it's corrected itself, it's back on its intended trajectory. It's now put its nose down. It's now essentially becoming a missile again. 64,000 feet. Mach whatever that is, Mach 5, Mach 6. Now it's going to start burning off its speed, obviously, because it's into the thick air. 40,000 feet. 35,000 feet. It won't be shot at because it's just a dummy target we've got going there. 26,000 feet, and it is just a normal missile now. It's scrubbing its speed off, 2,800 knots. Mach 4, roughly. 12,000 feet. 2,300 knots. Mach 3, it should impact around Mach 2. Still very deadly. And impact. 270 land miles, about 230 nautical miles covered. A peak 314,000 feet, a peak of Mach 6 in my head, an impact velocity of about Mach 2, maybe just over Mach 2. That's my interpretation of the absolute maximum firing of this weapon, and I would love your feedback to what you think about that. Right, we now need to start shooting at some baddies, and for that we need to bring in the Chinese. So when I do these tests, I like to do them against the worst possible scenario, and probably the world's most non-US defended piece of real estate is going to be an active Chinese carrier strike group. So we have a 033 Fujian, or an analog for it here. I put them unrealistically close to the carrier, but it's not going to make any difference today. We have 2 Type 055 destroyers. We have 4 Type 052D destroyers, all packed with a huge amount of HHQ-9B and HHQ-10 surface-to-air missiles, as well as Sea-Wiz. To begin with, we're just going to fire 1 missile. No, sorry, let's do 2 missiles. How many missiles can a Super Hornet carry? Oh, look at that. I put it asymmetric. How non-OCD of me. Let me just fix that there. Pip. I presume because of the weight, size and aerodynamics, it'll only be 2, but I invite your feedback for that. Let's give it a shot of what's going to happen. They are not stealthy missiles by any stretch of the imagination. They're really just designed for maximum kinematic. Again, why it pairs so well with the F-18. Right, off we go. Let's watch this cool launch sequence again. I love it how it drops down and then it's a draggy missile. We've modelled it as a kind of draggy missile. So watch how the air catches the missile as it's unpowered. It just sucks it back. And then that massive motor fires. They probably won't launch like that in real life. It's just our interpretation. Right, off they go. We've seen the flight profile, so let's see what happens now. When are the Chinese going to shoot? Right, skip forward. We are 3 minutes and 30 seconds into the flight path of the missile. The cost, I've just assumed they're the same cost as an SM-6. All ships today are set to red alert, so they're ready to intercept a maximum skill level for what difference it makes. Still no missiles out. Come on, they're not stealthy. I've set the radar cross-section to 0.4 square meters, so that's about the same as a Super Hornet, to be honest. It is not a stealthy missile. Come on, fire, work. Yes, we have a missile. Ping. Let's just find out when that was. 70 nautical miles, about 80 stat shoot miles. All right, fine. That's probably sounds about right, to be honest. Firing, obviously, with their mainstay, the HHQ-9B. These SM-6 don't really have anything on their side to get through apart from their speed, and they are still fast, as you can see. That's Mach, I don't know. I just can't do these maths in my head. It's about Mach 5-ish, Mach 6 maybe. Oh, we have a miss. No, we don't. They're just nowhere near yet. Just about in the remit now of intercept altitude, and they're putting their nose down, and we have a miss. Ping. Let's just see what happened there out of interest. Our guys put their nose down at 70,000, and he's... Ah, look at that. Yeah, absolutely. They just didn't make it. I guess at the time, I think the problem was that altitude, these HHQ-9s just weren't rated for the altitude that the SM-6s were at when they were fired, and a new set coming out. Let's see how these do. Intercept. Okay. Right. Ships going to fire again? Yes, they are. Well, when you're messing around with aerodynamics like we've had to do for this, excuse me, and I should credit Current Hill and Dark for doing the technical whiz stuff. Okay. Down here, like I said, it's just a normal non-hypersonic missile. Even some rims coming out. Look at that. A little American missile. Right. So what we've shown is that, yes, we can strike a moving ship with an AIM-174B or air-launched SM-6 at huge ranges, 200 plus miles, at least in the way we've modelled it. But no, it has no party piece really for getting through the Chinese defence. So let's start ramping it up. Let's add some more Super Hornets. Welcome back. I've copied and pasted these guys here around this ring. I've put the red ring around to try and get them so they all fire their missiles at the same time, which is obviously important. I love doing this science viewers because I have as much idea of you as what's going to happen. We'll get the results and then we have to apply that to what we think it will be like in reality. Because it's only a sim at the end of the day. It can only do its best. And to be honest, we abuse it just to do these things. So this is my favourite bit. Boof! Boof! Wham! It's such a stupid way of launching it. It can almost blow itself up. I'm going to leave it like that. It looks so cool. Alright, viewers. There's not really much to watch. We know they get intercepted at 80 miles, so let's just wait for 80 miles and see what happens. Here we go. So presumably the first guys are going to miss again. It's just out of the parameters of what the missile can do, and the sim doesn't understand that, obviously. It just fires them at its pre-registered range. Yep, they're all going to miss, look. Alright. But the next ones are probably going to hit. Let's see. So we're Mach 5 in my head. Ooh, one got through again. What's it going to do? Next layer of defense. Chinese carrier group well defended, not as well defended as the 5 layers of an American Aegis carrier group though. Oh my god, is it going to get through? No. No. It's just not fast enough at this point. Boom! Alright! 8. No good! Next step. 8 aircraft, 16 missiles. Off you go. Woof! 16 at a cost of $69 million. Alright. So it's really a case of saturation now. We need to oversaturate the Chinese ability to fire at these missiles. I mean, we've done well in that we've got this close. That in itself is abnormal. Oh, look how many missiles are coming out. I mean, look at the sky. Oh, 61 missiles out. I do not want to get hit. In the sim, they make a threat analysis and decide how threatened they are by this type of missile. And in this case, it appears they are very threatened, viewers. Very threatened indeed. Missiles being cancelled, look. That means they fired more than one missile per attacking target, which we obviously know. No. Chinese carrier group just too powerful, viewers. Alright, let's go again. 12 aircraft, 24 missiles. Woof. Gets boring. Note how only the Type 055s fire first, then the Type 052s fire later. Weird. Boop, 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 boop. And then effectiveness really kicks in. Wow. 88 missiles fired. Look at that. That is modern warfare, viewers. 91 missiles fired for 21 aggressors. 24 aggressors, sorry. We're now looking for leakage. Will something leak? There's only so many targets each ship can track its missiles towards, as with an American group. Oh. No, it can't. That's quite impressive by China. Let's try more. Okay, viewers, I've pushed the everything button. I've just put 20 planes in. That should be 40 missiles. So far, what we've found out is it's, yes, an excellent weapon for long-range anti-shipping. But no, it just doesn't have enough party pieces to defeat the really hard stuff, the carrier group. Not as fast as Mako, not as stealthy as LORASM. 40 missiles out. If nothing else, it's going to look very spectacular, viewers. 80 missiles out. 90 missiles out. Look at that. 120 missiles out. Come on, come on. Get through. Yes, maybe, maybe. No. It's just too powerful. Oh, dang it, viewers. Balls. Let's take it right to the end then. Come on, let's get silly with it. Okay, we've gone into full stupid mode. I don't know how many I've put in, but it's gonna do something. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an entire air wing of naval Super Hornets firing, wait for it, 78 SM6s at a cost of $0.34 billion. You can't say science isn't fun, viewers. $53 missiles out. 60 missiles out. 70. 80 missiles out. Oh, come on, come on, here we go. 90 missiles out. 100 missiles out. Something's got to get through. 110 missiles out. HQ-10's coming out. 120 missiles out. Overview? 130 missiles out. 140 missiles out. 150 missiles out. 160 missiles out. 170 missiles out. We have leakage! Finally, viewers, it just took an entire air wing of Hornets to do it. Great little wargame there, viewers. So we were testing the AIM-174 Bravo, previously known as SM6, from an air launch version. What we proved was, according to our aerodynamics, it can fire bloody far and is very impressive. It can be used excellently as a long-range anti-ship weapon. Also, it can be used as an air-to-air weapon. That's kind of cool, right? You can carry a weapon that does everything. So you just need to carry that one weapon. If you want to go anti-shipping, you fire it at a ship. If you want to go air-to-air, you just fire it in air-to-air. I mean, that's really something. Talk about modularity. Against a carrier group, in our simulation at least, with everything set to maximum, bearing in mind, so everything was perfect for China, because we want to make it as hard as possible. It just wasn't very effective. It's not stealthy. It's fast, but it's not fast. It's not low. So it just really... Hello? It just couldn't really get through. But thoroughly impressive anyway. That's it. Bye-bye.